Welcome to the third installment of USO War, Jay and Jimmy Divided. If you saw the first episode, Jimmy currently is the NXT World Heavyweight Champion. Jay is currently the US Champion. And now it's time for them to interact. This entire span is between around the end of March all the way into October of 2016. They had no interaction since that time. And when it comes down to it, finally, Jay and Jimmy come together around Hell in a Cell. And the only reason they come around Hell in a Cell is because at this time in the story, Roman Reigns is going into Hell in a Cell to face someone for the IC Championship. And that person will probably be Cesaro. Eventually I'm going to do a Cesaro video, but right now I'm just saying Cesaro is the IC champ, and now Roman Reigns has a chance to actually get it. When it comes down to it, Roman Reigns loses his opportunity in Hell in a Cell to get that title. But while this is going on, J-Rock is currently defending his US title against a wrestler you wouldn't think that he would even have a chance against, and that is Ryback. But Ryback does get defeated by J-Rock. No interference by The Rock or anyone else. He actually beats him clean. And he holds that title up happily and says, "I am J-Rock. There ain't nobody better than me." And that was a good ending for him. But in the back, after his match, because in the kickoff show of Hell in a Cell, Jimmy, the Wild Samoan, had to defend his NXT title in a title match against Sami Zayn. I'm only throwing Sami Zayn. Sorry, I mispronounced his name, Sami Zayn, because a lot of people want to see him back there instead of being on the main roster because they don't think he's doing anything good. So Sami Zayn is trying to retrieve his title from the Wild Samoan, and he fails. Same thing between both brothers. They both win their respective titles. But while they were in the back, their father appears. Rikishi himself. Big ass man himself. I always loved Rikishi. I always thought he was a great character. He was always a fun guy. Even though probably in real life he's not really treating his sons very well. Because if you saw Total Divas, and when Jay was with his brother Jimmy, who was getting married to Naomi, who is Trinity McCoy, he didn't show up. So in this respect, I'm going to make him in a better light. If it's in real life that he's not really that close to his sons, even though he loves them, I'm not going there. I'm going to go in the respect that he loves his sons and he decided to be more active. So in this respect, he sees both his sons. He's congratulating both his sons because by the time his other son, and that is J-Rock, won his title, he was already with Jimmy. And Jimmy and Jay meet each other after about, how long? Since March? Since June? Since they last saw each other? And he says, "You still got that damn rinky-dink toy title?" And he says, "Yeah, I got that still toy title. I'm still making money. You still got that little rinky-dink little title. At least I'm a heavyweight champion. You're just a US champion." And they both start getting mad at each other. And Rikishi saying, well, no, boys, stop. We are family here. We don't start fighting each other because titles mean nothing. We are family. We are family. Do not do that. We are the Fatu family. Don't you dare start fighting in front of me. And they both calm down. But the next night on that Raw, and J-Rock goes to the... They gave him actually prominent time. They gave it to him at the second hour. All his. And he says, "I am one of the best US champions in history. There ain't nobody better than me. There's no champion better than me. I would love to see someone try and challenge me." And then his brother comes out. And he comes into the ring and he says, "Dude, don't go there. Because remember, our own family, our own dad held a title. You can't say you're better than him." And that's done in the middle of the ring. And Jay backs off him. He says, you know what, Oos, I'm sorry. He actually says Oos when he hadn't done it in a long time. He says, Oos, I'm sorry. You're right. You're absolutely right. I apologize. I truly am sorry. And he gives him a hug. And as Jimmy's leaving, Jay decks the shit out of him with his US title. Busts his head open, throws him to the floor, and then pile drives his ass onto the mat on the floor. The next Raw, it is The Rock that comes to him and says, you understood everything I taught you. I'm very proud of you. I'm proud that you understand that you gotta do what you gotta do to make sure you got the money. You got the money. I'm proud of you. And Rikishi comes up to The Rock and he says, why'd you do that to my son? Why did you convince him that he's got to do whatever he has to become the best like that? That's his twin brother. That is not how we work in this family. And The Rock walks up to him and he says simply, I don't give a damn what you think. You're nothing but a damn has-been with a big freaking ass. Get out of my face. And they brawl. Those two brawl. And the Rock hasn't brawled with Rikishi since the 2000. So you guys would see that Rikishi almost flattened his ass with his ass. So after 2 to 3 months of all four of them brawling at different times, this is going into the next year into Royal Rumble. The Rock and Rikishi have a match. And both Usos are there watching their respective sides. I thought you would think I would do the reverse. I'm not doing that because this is going to be very interesting. You see, after they have their match and Rikishi and The Rock leave, they're not coming back, they're both done. These two continue fighting one another. There are no matches between each other. The only thing they do is fight for 6 months from the time last year going all the way into WrestleMania 33. So the Brass, which is the Authority, finally got sick of both these guys and they said, you know what, we're done with this. We're done with it. This is the way it's going to go. USO versus USO at WrestleMania 33. The NXT Heavyweight Champion versus the US Champion. Whoever wins carries both titles and must defend them in both NXT and WWE. That is the deal. The other one will never get a shot at getting either title ever. And at the end, Jimmy and Jay meet each other in the mid-card division. In other words, halfway through WrestleMania 33, they're there. Now, I could say that this should be much farther on the card. And I would put it more far on the card, but it doesn't really need to be that farther in the card. The story is still good. You got two brothers who loved each other like crazy, who didn't win for a long time, got frustrated, and they broke apart, made their own marks, and finally came back together for one match. And this one match defines how things are going to go between them. Not to see who's the better brother, but just to end the freaking feud, and then one disappears and one stays. I know you're going to say, dude, you didn't say that in the stipulation. It's not about a stipulation. You understand when I'm done. When the match finally happens, Jey Uso is the one who wins. The only reason that I chose, Jimmy, I'm sorry. Jimmy Uso's the one I wanted to win. It's hard keeping Jay and Jimmy in context because they always say these people keep getting confused. I got them confused. It is Jimmy Uso who won. Won at this time, his wife, who is a crazy woman, that is Naomi the Dark Knight, has now won again her Divas Championship. So I made it possible for him to defend the NXT Championship and the US Championship. He'll be the first person in history to hold both. So while this is going on, Naomi can travel with him, going to NXT and the main roster. She defends her title as well as he defends both titles. Jey Uso is gone. And I know people can say, what about Jay? That's not fair. It has to be this way. There can only be one Uso. It's either going to be Jimmy or it's going to be Jay. Jay goes home. He doesn't involve himself with wrestling anymore, and it's only Jimmy. Jimmy is the one who now maintains the legacy of Rikishi, the Wild Samoans, and everyone else after that. He's the one as the Wild Samoan is considered the top dog, even though he has the developmental title and the lowest tier title. He holds them both. He defends them both. We already know Jay is a good talker, but Jimmy is a charismatic talker. He's way better than his brother Jay. So that's the reason why I chose Jimmy over Jay. And I know you're going to say, dude, I know the reason you did that. Because he's with Naomi and you're in love with her. Yeah, there's a part of that. That's true. I'm not going to lie. I do love Naomi. But I see this from a point of view of how things worked out. Last year they gave him a shot while his brother was recovering from his shoulder. I believe it was a shoulder injury. And even though it wasn't a great feud between him and The Miz and having Naomi there, he didn't do that bad of a job. So I'm adding on to what happened to him last year in 2015, going into 2017. This is how I feel it should be done. But you guys tell me below, do you believe my bookings were proper? And if I didn't botch so damn much getting the names mixed up, Jimmy and Jay, you would think it would be easy not to mix them up, and it is. But you tell me how you feel below. I hope you enjoyed this booking, so please give me a comment below. After this one, I am going to try and work on Cesaro, the Swiss Superman. That one's going to be hard because of how badly he's been booked. And since he's not in wrestling right now, he's still injured. It's so hard to come up with something good. So I may be a little late with these bookings after this. But you guys have a good day and have a good night. Peace!